Good afternoon. My name is Laith Kutro, and these are my colleagues Ibrahim and Loay. First, we would like to expand our thanks to our supervisor, Dr. Sharafuddin, for supporting us always. Today, inshallah, we'll be presenting our research for the Undergraduate Research Competition 2021, which is the improvement of packaging and storage in sustainable food supply chain. So, the presentation outline is going to be as follows. Food supply chain is the process of turning food as raw material from farms into finished goods between the consumer's hands. Food packaging is providing protection to food from any damage or tampering from physical, biological, and chemical sources. As for food storage, it is the part of the supply chain processes where food, both raw materials and finished goods, are being stored appropriately for any future use. This study focuses on specific issues that happens both packaging and storage process in the food supply chain and the chain of industry strictly. As for the limitations, we have to mention that this study will be limited to the food industry and the types of processes that the food supply chain, which are packaging and storage. Our main problem in this case study is the packaging and storage related food losses and waste that occur along the supply chain processes. These losses and wastes have a direct impact on the environment, human health, and other social and ethical impacts that are going to be addressed later in this presentation. As for the objectives, this study aims to achieve the following. Identify the major packaging and storage related factors of food. Identify the environmental impacts due to packages disposal and the social and ethical dimensions of food waste. Implement a work for validating, comparing, and ranking the major factors of food losses and waste. Propose several recommendations that can minimize the loss and wastage of food. And now moving to the literature review with my colleague Ibrahim.
So based on Warner et al. 2019, it was found that almost 30% of the produced food worldwide is being wasted along 9 different stages of the supply chain. And since that 11% of the global population suffer from hunger, food availability has become a major problem that needs to be solved urgently. A survey was done by William et al. 2012. It shows that it was done on Swedish households' food waste. It shows that 20-25% of this waste is directly related to packaging, which makes it one of the most flagrant sources of waste. Warner et al. 2019 have also added that there is 348 million metric tons of produced plastic every year, and this amount of plastic raises CO2 level by nearly 400 million tons. In addition, there are also concerns about the impact of plastic packaging on the endocrine system of human body. Now, moving to food storage, it is known that food product is a very sensitive product to time and temperature, and it has shorter shelf life when compared to other products. It was also found that around 5% of the food in Europe is being lost during the retail sectors after being distributed to storing rooms. Now, these are our main 8 factors of food loss and waste. We concluded them from and proposed them from previous studies, based on previous studies. Starting in stage 1, which is the post-harvest stage, we have the main concern here is the physical damage that happens to the containers. And after that, in the processing stage, we have 2 major concerns. The first one is the overproduction. The second one is the misshaped food that happen due to the inappropriate sealing. And after that, in the distribution and retail section, not providing a proper protection, which is called food stackability, is the main problem. And as for the food consumption related issues, we have 2 issues here. The first one is the poor openability and emptyability. The second one is the inappropriate packaging size. And finally, in the retail and post-harvest stage, which is storage related issues, there are 2. The first one is the insufficient temperature in storing room, and the second one is the food products that exceed its expiry date in the storing. Now to the data collection with my colleague Loay.
Data collection and feedback from the survey that was conducted and distributed to 40 respondents to validate the 2 consumption-related factors out of our 8 factors of food losses and waste, which are poor openability or emptyability and the inappropriate packaging size. Based on the results shown above, we validated the consumption-related factors. The framework of the study is as follows. Coming to our methodology, where we are going to talk about the Delphi technique, which is a method that is used in collecting data forecasting or validation from panel of people within their domain of expertise. This method approaches consensus by conducting rounds of questionnaires with several iterations. Respondents' identity will be anonymous. Coming forward with the Delphi technique, a two-round questionnaire was developed and handled to 4 experts within the case of company in order to validate the 8 factors of food loss and waste. A consensus was reached by all experts considering the existence of the 8 factors of food loss and waste in practical life. A sample of the first round of the questionnaire can be found here. Coming forward in the fuzzy HP, which is a method that merges experts' opinions and evaluation results into a primary hierarchy system by solving complex problems from higher hierarchies to lower ones. Fuzzy AHP improves of the conventional AHP method by eliminating the uncertainty and impreciseness using the fuzzy numbers instead of real numbers. The hierarchy shows our 3 stages and its factors. Coming forward with my colleague Ibrahim.
In this section, we're going to present the process of fuzzy HP that we implemented that led us to the final ranking of the stages and factors. In step 1, we conducted a meeting with 2 experts within the case company, and according to their preferences, the 2 following tables were conducted based on this linguistic terms table. These are the 2 tables of the experts. And of course, as we can see in the pairwise matrix here, where K represents the decision maker, I represents the first compared factor, and J represents the second one. And the tilde here reflects the demonstration of the fuzzy triangular numbers. In step 2, we take the average of the 2 preferences of the decision makers, with the 2 tables of preferences of the decision makers using the equation below. And in step 3, the new pairwise matrix is updated with the new average preferences as shown. And step 4, we use the Buckley 1985 equation below to calculate the geometric means of fuzzy comparison values of each stage. Using the equation, and of course the R here means represents the triangular values. So what we did was simply multiplying the lower values in each row to the power 1/3, and we did the same to the mean and upper values. And step 5 here, we calculate the relative fuzzy weights by following these steps. A, we find the vector summation for every R, which is every column. And B, find the reverse of vector summation, which is power 2 - 1, and order them increasingly. And C, we finally calculate the fuzzy weights of the fuzzy weight of factors, which is represented by W letter, by multiplying every R with the reverse vector. And in step 6 here, and now the weights are still fuzzy triangular values. They need to be divided by calculating the mean, which is the M letter, using the center of area method proposed by Chu and Chang 2008, shown below. We basically combine the 3 values, lower, mean, and upper, and divide them by 3. And finally, in step 7, now the M, which is the mean, is no longer a fuzzy value, but it needs to be normalized through the equation below. We divide each mean by total summation of the means. Now we can use this final output to rank the stages and their factors. Of course, this process was applied to compare the factors within every stage as well. What we showed was just an example. Now continuing with my colleague Laith to the analysis results.
It was found that 60% of the food losses and waste are related to storing factors, and the rest goes equally to packaging and consumption related factors. 36% of the food lost wasted in the packaging stage are due to inappropriate sealing, while overproduction comes as the second affecting factor with 32%. 89% of the food lost in the storage stage is due to insufficient temperature of the storing room, while only 11% is due to the excess of product expiry date. 63% of the losses in the consumer's households are because of the inappropriate size of the food products, while 37% is because of poor openability and emptiability of the content in this package. Now moving to the recommendation part with my colleague Doi.
In the recommendation, we should conduct an additional quality control station for the sealing process. Double check the food products after the filling process. Regularly check the containers. Conduct a daily check on the temperature of the storing room. Provide consumers with guidelines on the product. Produce various sizes of packages. Always consider consumer feedback. Arrange regular briefings with the staff and workers. And at last, commit to the food safety standards. Going to the conclusion, we can say that in this study, we aim to track the factors that cause food losses and waste the most, and we were able to use Delphi technique and fuzzy AHP methods to validate and rank them, and then highlight the most affecting ones that should be minimized by our proposed recommendation. Thank you for listening.